Hello, I'm Emma Green and welcome to the Virtual Engineering Centre podcast, Engineering in Digital. As we see more and more businesses and organisations go through digital transformations, whatever that may mean and on which specific scale, it is great to see technology being used for good and going beyond commercialisation. Digital heritage is a big focus right now across a magnitude of businesses, organisations and local groups, so it's really exciting to see how the VEC and other tech-savvy organisations can support in this mission as we discover new ways for us to preserve and promote a number of heritage sites and unique artefacts, improving accessibility for even more communities. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Konstantin Vikarev, Head of Industrial Digitalisation at the Virtual Engineering Centre. So welcome back, Konstantin, and many thanks for joining me.
You're welcome.
So let us start from the very beginning. What is digital heritage?
Well, digital heritage is a very interesting topic. It's basically aims at bridge gap between old and new, and looking at the preserving our artifacts, sites, methods, some of the ancient crafts, and using a power of digital technologies. All of this is support digital transformation of the city, especially like Liverpool. Liverpool is the second in terms of historical sites after London. So it's very important. We, when I speak to digital technologies, that includes AI. It includes use of the IoT sensors, blockchain, and mixed reality for the visual representation. Obviously, that's a new area for VEC and new area in general. And it was accelerated during COVID-19 and created sustainable, aim to create sustainable and inclusive, innovative heritage ecosystem and economy in Liverpool and across the country, across the UK in general.
Well, so what would some of the key examples of heritage sites in Liverpool be?
So different heritage sites. So that includes English heritage sites and some of the historic aspects. Norton Priory, for example, very close to Desbury site where the VEC located, and we're working with the medieval vaults and recreation of this medieval vaults. So one of the largest excavation site in Europe, and also one of the best preserved medieval vaults in their kind of former glory. So we're looking at applying the digital technologies to restore and show to the expand the visitor experience using the digital technologies as a AR, VR, and also artificial intelligence.
Brilliant. So we have heard technologies being mentioned, but exactly how can technology support the heritage and culture sector?
Well, there is several aspects to it. So there is the scanning. Scanning allows us to create accurate and detailed records that can be used for future. So it can allow us to preserve and also monitor the conditions of the historical assets and the sites and objects. It will improve accessibility and inclusivity. Certain sites very interesting, but accessibility from the different countries may be restricted. There's a lot of people seeing it. There's also creating the tourist. So once you've seen it online, you also see it digitally, you would want to come and visit it as well. Digital twins, creating of the structures, again, to monitoring and preserving the state, and also creating it more engaging, a more interesting atmosphere to understand the history and to understand why is this site there and what will be behind it. For this, we're using things like MetaHumans or Meta Avatars, which is, despite the name, not connected to the Facebook Meta atmosphere, but we're also looking more realistic representation of the humans, and connected with some of the AI technologies. They can bring the history in more engaging way, more creating more engaging storytelling, especially for the younger generation. Important aspects of it is the census. Monitoring the sites involves conditions in which it's kind of preserved. So all monitoring temperatures, humidities, atmospheric conditions is important to preserve it for future generations. Blockchain technologies allows us to, once we create a digital kind of objects or digital assets, we can preserve them and store them in a unique way so they cannot be tampered or they cannot be changed. They also can be used for exhibition and loaning and so on. So it allows the full traceability of the digital asset. And there's also data mapping, locating planning for future activities.
Could the data mapping also, the more data that we have and the more accurate the data mapping is, offer insight into, I know you've said about future activity and planning, but could it also give greater insight into the past?
Yes, absolutely. So the more we gather, and the more we gather from different places, it can give us a better insight how certain sites been built, what kind of techniques been using. Interestingly enough, we're working with the Department of Architecture and looking at the medieval vaults again is important to understand that they've been built in sometimes on a hoc basis, and every kind of craftsman have their own style. So understanding that, matching that, would allow us to also to recreate those assets and also understand more of how the people were used to do this, how did they used to build it, and why.
Have you worked out how the pyramids were built yet?
Not yet.
Nobody knows. So the VEC hosted the UK's first Digital Heritage Symposium in April 2022 at St George's Hall. But for anyone who missed it, what has the VEC been doing to help in bringing digital heritage to the Liverpool City region?
For this particular event, it was a very interesting event, and we done demonstration of what the digital heritage can bring in general. So we've scanned the Minton Tiles floor in St George's Hall, which is only shown once a year to the visitors, whilst with the scanning technologies and the high resolution photogrammetry, the people can enjoy it anytime they would like to enjoy it. There's also, for the restoration or preservation purposes, we know how it looks like. So if something needs to be changed or fixed, then we can kind of recreate that a lot easier. We've done the scanning of the artifacts. John Waitman statue, so raising awareness of the stories, but also kind of creating digital records and engage with the general public and younger generation as well. So and it's been done. The brilliance of this is been done without need to remove the statue from its kind of a place.
Yeah.
We already kind of mentioned, so we scanned the different locations like St George's Hall, Concert Hall, Royal Courtroom, to kind of give a better access behind the scenes and support the event planning, tourism, and again storytelling about the virtual locations. And the Charles Dickens performance and any format kind of a court cases, for example. Mary Seacole was especially important storytelling about her life. Mary Seacole was a nurse, and there's only two photographs that have been kind of available. We managed to recreate using metahuman technology her and also use advanced kind of digital technologies to brought her to life to tell her own kind of her own voice and explain who she is, what she's done, and how she kind of impacted the history in the UK. And it was part of the exhibition where the people can respond to the questions or even be in a Mary Seacole as well, which was quite interesting. We've done the scan for the Gasta Museum, which is a museum at the University of Liverpool, Egyptian artifacts, and again, they have a statistics. They at least they were describing the statistics during the COVID specifically. There was a lot of overseas visitors from South America, North America, which cannot access that easily the exhibition. So it raises awareness and allows people to explore the collection and see it in their own eyes using the photogrammetry, high resolution photogrammetry.
So with their like Mary Seacole, for example, Charles Dickens, by creating these into like meta-humans, can help for educational purposes. So it's a much more engaging way of telling a story. So for say young visitors, it could be a lot more interesting than just simply reading a plaque where you can engage with the avatar. So is it using like AI to have a conversation back and forth between say a young person and the avatar themselves?
Yes, absolutely. We as humans prefer to interact in person. We interact in more with the visual and the kind of and sound ways. I mean, in terms of a conversation with the people. So we prefer that way, and it's more understandable. Hence, the school education works this way, and the university education works this way a lot better. So bringing those avatars, bringing the people actually no longer with us, and allow them to tell the stories about themselves is a lot. As a big step forward and a lot more engaging than just reading it in a book.
Yeah, so it could improve visitor experience, but potentially visitor numbers to said attraction and museum or host as well. So following on from the symposium last year, what has the VEC been doing since for promoting digital heritage for the Liverpool City region and beyond?
VAC was kind of a bid for organizing and establishing UK National Digital Heritage Centre, which was successful. And that particular bid allows us to establish a new centre based in Dasbury, and that will kind of empower creation of heritage digital twin, virtual historical characters, reality capture, and also collaborating with the with different other research organization, with heritage research organization, um, and the institutions as well. Especially in English heritage and Cardew and Historic Scotland and so on. So to kind of increase the outreach and increase the adoption of the digital technologies in heritage. There's also it would allow the infrastructure the infrastructure that's been funded would allow to enrich understanding of data for the key stakeholders, educators, and the public.
Yeah.
And also would allow the SMEs in that area to create strategy and support the wider kind of a supply chain in that economy, in the heritage economy sector. And as already mentioned, so we have state-of-the-art, we're using state-of-the-art software and hardware. We have very high resolution LED power wall, which allows us to kind of create a experience, digital experience for larger groups, as well as a 3D experience as well. We have scanning technologies, which is including the ground-based scanners and also airborne scanners using drones, which allows to cover big areas for the historic sites. And there's also software and hardware infrastructure to store and allow external access to those digital assets that will be using blockchain technologies and creating kind of a tamper-proof records for historical data and artifacts as well. And the heritage center mostly is going to be targeted towards, as I said, the other institutions. We kind of in discussions with the institution across the country to organize almost a consortium that will work in this area, and also the organization like English Heritage, Historic Scotland, Cardoon, and so on, so that there will be inclusivity and understanding from that side as well.
So there's already been interest there. So the centre's recent, like only just opening, and there's already businesses kind of knocking on the door and trying to find out more.
Yes, we will have a lot of interest within inside the university, First of all, it allows to create outreach inside the university for the people who are actually doing the heritage work in different areas. That includes India, that includes Syria, includes Irish as well, and we're also working with talking to other institutions that kind of are broadly in that area. And we helped Northern Priory. Already had a preliminary discussion with Northern Priory, and we'll try to deploy some of the a kind of a proof of concept technologies for user experience and test it there. We've done work with the Furness Abbey and had a detailed model of their site, and at the moment the process of creating interactive demo and interactive kind of historical explanation where you can explore the site and know more about its history and why is it in the state it is, and so on.
And that was done through our team at the VEC using drone technology to capture the scans.
Yeah, it was done through our team using the drone technology that's been part of that infrastructure, and also the scanning technologies that we're actually ground scanning technologies, and also our previous expertise in the area and understanding how those digital technologies can be kind of applied in that sector.
And what are you hoping the centre will achieve?
I hope the centre will achieve full UK potential when we can create a full outreach into the devoted administrations, including, and achieve wider kind of bringing UK in top level of kind of digital heritage, and achieving the centre of excellence almost for the digital heritage across the UK.
Perfect. And that is all we have time for today. Thank you very much, Constantine.
No problem. Thank you very much.
For any of our listeners who are interested in finding out more about digital heritage and even how our teams can support your business toward a more digital approach, please visit our website www.virtualengineeringcentre.com or drop us a line at vec@live.ac.uk. All of our case studies and the symposium brochure with even more information can all be found on the website via our projects and insights page. Thanks again to all of our listeners, and remember to join us next time on the VEC Engineering in Digital podcast.